It's obvious what he was talking about. And for those of you saying that Trump should know better, right, that bloodbath is such a loaded word that inspires violence and is unpresidential, we put together just a little bit of the same anchors who were so outraged over Trump using bloodbath, well, using bloodbath themselves.
Trump's allies, including his daughter-in-law, took command of the RNC. Headlines calling it a, quote, bloodbath.
But as Politico.com reports tonight on the, quote, bloodbath at the RNC.
And the headline refers to it as an impending bloodbath.
Coming out of Iowa, they were promising that this was effectively going to be a bloodbath. Not only is it going to be a bloodbath, but after they leave New Hampshire, it's a bloodbath on her home turf. That's really tough.
And Trump has left a lot of corpses in his wake. I mean, we can count the bodies, right?
They too must be inspiring genocide and an end of the American democracy. As I said, welcome to the next 7.5 months. Whatever Trump says will be on blast everywhere, and whatever Joe Biden says or does, well, you decide. Did you hear anything about what Joe Biden did this weekend? We don't do media commentary here. Journalists make for lousy media critics. This isn't about the media or the unfairness of the coverage. You can make that decision. It's about a presidential election, figuring out who the most powerful man in the world will be, and how the media, now more than ever, decides that. Bill O'Reilly's here, host of the No Spin News, author of the coming book, Confronting the President's No Spin Assessments from Washington to Biden. Bill, good to see you. You figured this out long ago, that politics is downstream of culture. As we look across the media landscape, is it that these anchors and pundits are just hyper-liberals who love Democrats, or is it more of a cultural thing? They want to be part of the cultural elite, and Donald Trump is a threat to that.
Well, it's very complicated because Donald Trump is a threat to the corporate media. They hate him. They've always hated him. I wrote a column on BillO'Reilly.com. I dropped it yesterday that says there are 3 network morning programs, Leland, and 5 late-night gabfests. Since 2016, we can't find any conservative or traditional guests on any of the 8 programs. It's a total blackball. So what happens is that people who don't follow the news, Americans who don't really care, watch entertainment programs. They watch morning TV, some of them, and late-night TV. All they get is this woke, liberal presentation from the hosts. And the hosts are ordered to do that by the corporate chieftains. And they despise, the chieftains do, Donald Trump so much that anybody who doesn't hate him doesn't get airtime. So you have an almost 100% blackout of conservative thought on network television. It's stunning.
Okay.
I was on the network programs, Leland, 78 times. 78 times. My interviews with Letterman and Jon Stewart are legendary. You can Google them. That all stopped in 2016. If you didn't hate Trump, you were not booked.
The column is phenomenal. I encourage anybody to read it. We have a line from it. The traditional conservative blacklist is real and affects American culture in a negative way. Millions of Americans who do not closely follow the news are presented with nonstop left-wing opinions on morning and late-night TV. Not arguing in any way with your receipts going back to 2016 in terms of bookings. But at the same time, isn't conservative TV doing the same thing to liberals? And by that, I mean that conservatives and liberals are afraid, and perhaps rightly so, to go on a TV network of the other political ilk because the hosts, in order to impress their audiences, have to just tear those people apart. The conversations that you and Letterman had or you and Jon Stewart had were good-natured, they were fun, they were sparring, but they were fair. There's now an incentive, a need to be unfair.
I hope that's not the case on the right-wing presentations, but it may well be. I had no trouble getting liberal guests for 20 years on the O'Reilly Factor. We treated them respectfully unless they lied like Barney Frank did, and then I had to go in. But generally, I wanted to hear what they had to say because I thought I was smarter than them and had a better argument. So it was fun to hear both sides. You're correct. Now the two right-wing networks, Fox and Newsmax, very rarely have liberal people on board. But here's something very interesting to the NewsNation viewer. We've documented the bloodbath stuff, and you did a nice job, you and your producer, in presenting that the left took a word out of context to try to drive home that Donald Trump's a violent man who will become a Hitler or a dictator, whatever the loopy thing they're saying today. Fox did the same thing today for Biden.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.